Imagine giving up a multi-million-dollar career selling your mansion and Ferrari and disappearing to the Himalayas, only to return with the secret to true happiness. Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what Julian Mantle did in the international bestseller The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And today, I'm going to share the 12 most powerful lessons from this book that could completely transform your life, just like they transformed mine. Stay with me for the next 15 minutes and I promise you'll walk away with practical wisdom that the world's most successful people pay thousands to learn. Hey everyone, welcome back to the 12 Ways channel. For those who are new here, I'm Alex, and I help busy people discover life-changing wisdom without having to read hundreds of books. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma, not Jim Rohn as many people mistakenly believe, tells the story of Julian Mantle, a hotshot lawyer who collapsed from stress in the courtroom and then vanished to the Himalayas. When he returned, he was transformed, physically, mentally, and spiritually. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 12 most powerful principles from this book that can help you reduce stress, find purpose, and create a life of extraordinary fulfillment without having to sell your car or climb a mountain. We'll cover Julian's journey through the sages of Sivana and break down their ancient wisdom into practical steps anyone can follow, including the garden metaphor for nurturing your mind, how to discover your true purpose using the Lighthouse technique, the 10-step method for cultivating self-discipline that actually works, and 9 other transformational lessons you can apply starting today. Let's begin with perhaps the most fundamental concept in the book. Lesson 1. Master your mind, the garden metaphor. Julian learned that our mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant will grow, whether that's flowers of positivity or weeds of negative thinking. When Julian first arrived in the Himalayas, his mind was overgrown with weeds, stress, anxiety, and negative thoughts. The sages taught him that just as a gardener must be vigilant about what grows in their garden, we must be vigilant about what thoughts we allow to take root in our minds. Here's the practical application. Take 10 minutes each morning to tend your garden by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Studies show this simple practice rewires your brain to spot opportunities rather than obstacles. And no, scrolling through Instagram doesn't count as garden maintenance. Trust me, I've tried. One viewer who followed this advice told me, after just 2 weeks of the gratitude practice, my colleagues asked what had changed because I seemed so much happier at work. Lesson 2. Follow your purpose, the Lighthouse technique. The sages taught Julian that each of us has a unique purpose, like a lighthouse that guides us through stormy seas. To find your purpose, try the 7-question exercise Julian learned. 1. What did you love doing as a child? 2. What would you do if you had unlimited resources? 3. What makes you lose track of time? 4. What would you do for free? 5. What do people consistently thank you for? 6. What would make you feel proud at age 90? 7. If you had 1 year left to live, how would you spend it? Your answers contain powerful clues to your personal lighthouse. Quick question for you. When was the last time you completely lost track of time doing something you loved? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. You know, before I discovered these principles, I was working 60-hour weeks and had forgotten what passion even felt like. Sound familiar? Well, that brings us to our next life-changing lesson. Lesson 3. Practice Kaizen, continuous improvement. Julian learned that the sages practiced Kaizen, the art of continuous, never-ending improvement. They didn't try to change everything overnight, they focused on getting just 1% better each day. This might not sound impressive, but look at the math. If you improve just 1% daily, after 1 year you're 37 times better. That's the power of compound improvement. Here's how to apply this. Choose one area of your life to improve this week. Maybe it's reading for 10 minutes a day or drinking 1 more glass of water. Master that single habit before adding another. And yes, getting 1% better at Netflix binging doesn't count, though I admit I've become an expert at that. Lesson 4. Live with discipline, the 10 ancient rituals. The sages taught Julian that discipline isn't about punishment, it's about respect for yourself and your potential. They practiced 10 rituals of radiant living. 1. The ritual of solitude, daily silence. 2. The ritual of physicality, regular exercise. 3. The ritual of live nourishment, vegetarian diet. 4. The ritual of abundant knowledge, continuous learning. 5. The ritual of personal reflection, self-awareness. 6. The ritual of early awakening, rising with the sun. 7. The ritual of music, healing through sound. 8. The ritual of spoken word, positive affirmations. 9. The ritual of congruent character, alignment with values. 10. The ritual of simplicity, living with less. You don't need to adopt all 10 at once. Start with one that resonates with you, perhaps early awakening or daily learning. Now you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I'm already stretched thin, I get it. But here's the thing, these principles aren't about adding more to your plate, they're about making what's already on your plate more meaningful and fulfilling. Julian discovered that when he aligned his daily actions with his deeper purpose, everything became easier. The discipline wasn't a burden, it was liberating. And that's what I want for you. Let's continue with what might be the most practical lesson from the book. Lesson 5. Respect your time, also known as the deathbed mentality. The sages taught Julian to use the deathbed mentality, to regularly ask himself, if I were on my deathbed right now, would I be proud of how I spent today? This powerful question eliminates trivial concerns and focuses you on what truly matters. Try asking yourself this question each morning. Warning. Side effects may include declining Netflix subscriptions and spontaneous life purpose discoveries. Lesson 6. Selflessly serve others. Julian learned that true fulfillment comes not from accumulation, but from contribution. The sages practiced daily acts of kindness without expectation of reward. They believed that how you make others feel ultimately determines how you feel about yourself. Try this. Each day, perform one act of anonymous kindness. It could be as simple as leaving an encouraging note or paying for someone's coffee. Lesson 7. Embrace the present moment, also known as the now mindset. The sages taught Julian that most suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, rather than living in the present. They practiced now thinking through mindfulness meditation, simply focusing on their breath for 10 to 15 minutes daily. When your mind wanders, which it will, gently bring it back to your breath. This simple practice rewires your brain to stay present. And no, counting the seconds until your meditation is over doesn't count as mindfulness. Believe me, I've been there. Lesson 8. The power of thoughts, also known as the heart of the rose. Perhaps the most transformative practice Julian learned was called heart of the rose. Every evening the sages would sit quietly with a rose and focus completely on it, its color, texture, scent, training their minds to concentrate deeply on one thing. In our distraction-filled world, this singular focus is revolutionary. The average person now has an attention span shorter than a goldfish, just 8 seconds. But here's the truth. Your life follows your thoughts. Master your thoughts, and you master your life. Imagine having complete control over your mental focus, directing it precisely where you want, when you want. This isn't just some mystical concept. Neuroscience confirms that focused attention literally rewires your brain, creating new neural pathways that change how you experience reality. Try the heart of the rose technique tonight. Start with just 5 minutes. I promise you'll begin to feel the difference almost immediately. Lesson 9. Maintain your energy, the ancient rule of 20. The sages taught Julian the ancient rule of 20. Eat only until you're 80% full. They believed digestion consumes massive energy that could be used for mental clarity and spiritual growth. They also ate primarily vegetarian food, fresh and close to nature. While you don't need to become vegetarian overnight, try adding one more vegetable to each meal this week. And no, ketchup doesn't count as a vegetable, despite what I tried to tell my mom growing up. Lesson 10, sleep less, live more. Contrary to popular belief, the sages taught that most people sleep far more than they need to. Julian learned to sleep just 4 to 5 hours a night without feeling tired by going to bed at the same time daily, creating a sleep sanctuary with no electronics, rising with the sun, and using power naps of 10 to 20 minutes when needed. While I don't recommend jumping to 4 hours of sleep immediately, try setting your alarm 30 minutes earlier each day for a week. Use that time for reading, meditation, or exercise. Lesson 11. Use spoken affirmations. The sages taught Julian the power of spoken affirmations, declaring positive truths aloud until they become part of your self-identity. They would rise with the sun and repeat affirmations like I am strong, I am disciplined, and I am abundant while standing in a victory pose. This might sound silly, but research from Harvard shows that combining positive statements with confident body language actually changes your hormone levels within minutes. Try creating 3 personal affirmations and speaking them aloud each morning while standing tall with your arms raised in a V shape. Let's quickly review the 12 powerful lessons from the monk who sold his Ferrari. 1. Master your mind. Your thoughts shape your reality. 2. Follow your purpose. Discover your personal lighthouse. 3. Practice Kaizen. Focus on continuous small improvements. 4. Live with discipline. Adopt the 10 rituals gradually. 5. Respect your time. Use the deathbed mentality. 6. Selflessly serve others. Find fulfillment through contribution. 7. Embrace the present moment. Practice mindfulness daily. 8. Cultivate concentration. Try the heart of the rose technique. 9. Maintain your energy. Follow the ancient rule of 20. 10. Sleep less, live more. Optimize your sleep for vitality. 11. Use spoken affirmations. Declare positive truths daily. 12. And finally, Lesson 12. Live your legacy. The final and perhaps most profound lesson Julian learned was about living your legacy daily. The sages didn't view legacy as something you leave behind after you're gone. Instead, they saw it as something you create each day through your actions, words, and the way you treat others. They asked themselves each morning, how can I make today a masterpiece? When I first read this book, this concept hit me hard. I realized I had been postponing my real life for some future date when everything would be perfect. But here's the truth. Your legacy isn't built in the someday, it's built in the everyday. The small kindnesses, the difficult conversations you handle with grace, the moments when you choose courage over comfort. Think of it this way. No one's eulogy ever includes, they had an impressive Netflix watch history. Try this simple practice. Each morning ask yourself, if today were my entire legacy, would I be proud of it? Then live accordingly. If you found value in these lessons, please hit that like button and subscribe for more life-changing book summaries. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss next week's video on Mention Your Next Video Topic. I'm curious, which of these 12 lessons resonated with you the most? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one and would love to hear your thoughts. And here's a bonus tip Julian learned that didn't make it into the final book. The sages practiced what they called the evening declaration of gratitude. Before sleep, they would name 3 specific moments from the day they were grateful for. No matter how small, try this tonight. It costs nothing but transforms everything. Until next time, remember what Julian discovered after his journey. The greatest wealth is not financial. It's the richness of a well-lived life.